I paid $35.99 for this Wuting clone. Is it worth the $35.99? In this video, I'll be taking the win60he for a spin, and I'll be showing you if it can hold up to the win60he in terms of gaming performance. Now, straight off the bat, I would say that it is worth the money. However, it does come with some quirks for the price, as to be expected. But I think that you guys will enjoy this keyboard and will be very competitive with it. Wootings are really expensive, even used. And this one is about 5 times less of the price. Is this 5 times better than this? Not really, but you do pay for more fit and finish and polish with this one and support. Now this one has been out for maybe a year or two. It does not seem like there are any new updates for it. When I got it out of the box, I didn't even have to update it. In terms of functionality, this keyboard is not so bad. I checked some of the features that it has, and you can adjust a lot of settings like the Wuting, but it is a lot more confusing. I mean, the menu is just really hard to understand, but once you get familiar with it, you can do a lot of tweaks and settings. Matter of fact, I turned on the SOCD on this and I got kicked out of Counter-Strike for hitting too good of a flick. I guess it thought that my counter-strafe was just so good that I must have been cheating. And I guess you could say with the SOCD, you kind of are cheating. This keyboard doesn't come with all good things. It does come with some issues, and one of them is that the UI thinks that the key is just glitching out when I press it slowly. On the Wuting Wutility, it had no problem picking up the fine details of my key press. But with this one, for whatever reason, it would only pick it up accurately if I was moving it fast. Now, thankfully, in game, I always move my key fast. I'm wondering if this is an overall keyboard issue or if it's just a UI glitch. I didn't really notice any weird issues unless I would bring up the actuation points too close to the top of the key press and too close to the bottom. Even though it says it's accurate within a certain threshold of millimeters, you don't want to push it too far with this keyboard because it will seem like your keys are getting stuck. And that is no good for a competitive shooter. Now, I will say I did actually win my first CS2 game after several months of not playing, and I did actually kind of hit a sick clip on the first round, and spoiler alert, I didn't win that round. So I feel like I adjusted pretty quickly to it. As a Wuting user, I almost forgot that I was using a new keyboard, so that's definitely a bonus in my book for this keyboard. Now, the question you guys have been all asking, is it actually worth the money? And I would say if you're on a budget, for sure. Now, it definitely does lack in quality, but you know, it doesn't lack 5 times less in quality. So personally, I'm fine with getting the Wuting because I just like to have sort of a nicer thing that I can be more confident in it lasting a long time. But realistically, if I wasn't such a consumer, I probably would have gotten this one and been just fine for several years. You know, I don't really know the reliability on these things because I'm just reviewing a brand new unit. I know that my Wuting has proven reliability, so if reliability and getting a lot of usage for your money is a factor, maybe you should go with the Wuting instead of this because this has not really proven itself yet. But it doesn't seem like there should be any issues because the famous thing about magnetic Hall effect switches is that they actually have 0 wearing components. So you could actually calibrate the dead zone, you can calibrate the actuation points, and you can actually calibrate the keys themselves. So if you just got this keyboard, make sure to go through the calibration process. You just have to press all the keys until everything is blue, and then you're set. In game, I think this actually does have some good responsiveness. It feels like my Wuting. When I press it and I release and I don't press all the way and I release, it does respond to that very well. So I am able to get some little subtle movement things in there. And one of the first things I checked was, can I still do the van jump? Now the van jump is a pretty technical skill on CS2. Not a lot of people can do it. And I was able to hit it a couple times in a row and then still got a kill after. So I think this keyboard's pretty good. I would say that definitely I would rate it, let's say for the price, it is definitely a 10 out of 10, maybe a 9 out of 10, because there are some cheaper HE keyboards out there, and I will review them, and if those are bad, then I would probably rate this a 10 out of 10. But But if those are also just as good as this Aula right here, then I might have to make it a 9 out of 10 or even an 8 out of 10 if the $25 one is better. In fact, I think I'm ordering a GK61 that is $19, and I couldn't even believe my eyes because the GK61 was more expensive than that 6 years ago and was one of the first videos I made on this channel. I know this is an Aula video, but I just wanted to throw that in there because that is the Aula's competition and it does exist and it is cheaper, and I will be making a video on it in the future. So make sure to stay tuned for that. You know, this keyboard is kind of like if you took the Wuting and you just kind of dragged the quality slider down to like maybe 65%, but then you dragged the performance slider down to like maybe 80 or 85%. And the reason why I docked it 15% from the Wuting is because the Wuting gives me that confidence that it's actually working properly, especially since Wutility is so well thought out and at least the key is actually responding correctly on the menu there. And I've never had any weird issues with the keys sticking when I set the actuation too high or too low. It's only when it was like ridiculously high or ridiculously low in the Wuting that I would have that, and then I'll drag it back down, right? This one works pretty well if you keep the actuation points pretty reasonable. This is definitely a good deal, a good bargain for someone that's looking for an entry-level keyboard. And honestly, I wouldn't even change it if you don't have the budget, man, because this thing is pretty sick for the price. Now, leave a comment if you agree. If you don't agree, what do you want me to review next? Let me know. Peace, guys.